a comfortable spot. We got high school football and it's coming out hot. Now here we are and the lights are shining bright. It's always been, yeah, WAAY 31 is rocking all right.
Big game Friday night. Max Cohan, Trevor Denton.
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental. Big game Friday night.
It's the 63rd meeting between these River City rivals. Decatur and Austin battle it out for Morgan County bragging rights in our big game Friday night game of the week.
It's a battle of small powerhouses, Pisgah and Fife meeting again in our rivalry game of the week.
Hello and welcome into Big Game Friday night. I'm Max Cohan and he's Trevor Denton. Week 0 of the season started us off great, but Week 1 also gave us another slate of incredible games.
With many teams still in their pre-region schedules, we got some big-time showdowns between big-time playoff contenders, but we also got some of those good old-fashioned rivalry games.
There were huge games tonight, but only one could be our Big Game Friday night game of the week, so let's head out to Ogle Stadium for the battle between the Black Bears and Red Raiders.
It's the River City rivalry, Austin and Decatur. They've met every year since 1965, but it's not often that the opening kickoff in this game matters. Peyton McLean hauls it in, sees a gap, gets a block, and he is gone. A touchdown to get us started at Ogle Stadium. In Austin, it turned out was just warming up. It's been a while since we've seen an angry run. Well, Aiden Davis put together his own submission tonight, showing the defenders the dirt as he gets the Black Bears down the field. You bet that's a first down. So we've seen special teams, we've seen the ground game. Austin can let it rip through the air too. Kadir Lyle steps up in the pocket, hits McLean for a big gain. How about that Austin offense? They put up points at will. Christian Gibbs on the direct snap, and he's loving every second in the end zone. Decatur's Reed Robertson would try to get something going for the Red Raiders, only to get picked off by Caleb Caudle. Austin was up 30 at the half. They go on to win 47-6.
Oh, I'm proud of them. We challenged them. They rose to the occasion. We still made a lot of mistakes tonight. We've got to clean up and get better. A lot of penalties. So it wasn't a mistake-free game, but they came. We were physical, played hard. Those are things that we challenged them with, and they executed, and we played better.
All right, well, the River City rivalry flows in Austin's direction. 3 in a row for them. Decatur has only 1 win in the series since 2015.
Yeah, and that was a huge game, but it had no impact on the region standings. Not the same case with this next one, a 4A Region 8 battle between Madison Academy and Randolph. The Mustangs and Raiders have split their last 4 meetings. This year, both teams enter the night searching for their first win of the season, and Bob Godsey's squad would take control early with a long kickoff return, turning it into points as Dalen Scott fights his way in for the first touchdown of the night. The Raiders nearly responded with a long one of their own as Jonathan Billions shows off his sprint speed. He was able to make it all the way inside the 5 before Mustangs running back Dalen Scott sent him to the ground. So Billions couldn't get the long one, but number 6 still got his team 6 as he was able to fall across the goal line to tie the game up. But if you know anything about Bob Godsey's squads, you know that they never take their foot off the gas. If you need any more proof, just watch this next play. Charleston Owens, the quarterback, is going to be under a lot of pressure, and he rolls out of the pocket. The guy's got speed, so he can move around however he wants. When he gets open, he throws this one up, and full disclosure, I lost it. But you know who didn't? Cam Childress. And when he came down with it, he was a goner. A long touchdown for Madison Academy, and the Stangs were just getting started as they run away with this one, 49-7.
All right, we move on to another big region game out in Killen. The Brooks Lions opening their season against the West Morgan Rebels. Now, when you're talking about great coaches in the area, the conversation has to include Tim Bowens at Brooks, Drew Phillips at West Morgan. Now, West Morgan's known for their offense, but here's a great defensive play. A scoop and score by Brody Banks. Look at that. Now we go over to the offensive side of the ball. Tayshawn McDaniel with the catch and the score. And he takes his time in the end zone. Soak it in, young man. Great play there. You know who makes great plays on Big Game Friday night every week for the past, 2-3 years? Makari the Ferrari Johnson. Let that man out of the garage and watch him vroom his engine, rev his engine. Look at him go down the field. Nobody near him. Someone does get into frame, but yeah, he just swats him off. Makari Johnson's awesome. The Ferrari at it again. Wes Morgan at it again. 47-21, the victory. Time for a little cat fight. Meow. Fort Payne and Guntersville first met in 1923. Tonight, Chris Elmore and Lance Reese's squad meeting in the type of game a coach schedules to get his team ready for the playoffs. Guntersville at 14-10 at the half. Fort Payne driving. Riker Engel takes the handoff from 2 yards out. Is he in? In fact, he's not. Ref points the other way. Huge stop by Guntersville. Fort Payne driving again. Blake Griggs at QB across the middle, but Hudson Oliver gets some air, goes up and snags the interception. The hometown Wildcats now with momentum. Street Smith to Dadrian Waller. Some nice moves there by Waller. He's a future college football player. 24-10 the lead for Guntersville, but Fort Payne still at it. Griggs driving, but this time it's Weston Hammond who reads it all the way and picks it off. A pick party for Guntersville. And can they run this one out? They do. They take this one 21-10 in the Battle of the Wildcats over at Trammell Stadium. Scottsboro at home for the first time this year as those Cats welcomed North Jackson, a team coming off a great season last year.
Yeah, 2 playoff teams last year trying to make it back to November, and there'd be a whole lot of running in this one. The Chiefs did it from the first play of scrimmage. Nicholas Price cuts to the outside and nearly breaks this for an opening touchdown. He won't get there. Still a 40-yard gain. The Chiefs don't score on that drive, so Scottsboro thinking that they might. Quick snap to catch Mateo, and he is in for the first score of the game. Wildcats want to see more of that, grinding it out on the ground, and sometimes you just have to want it more. Jaden Gilbert does, keeping things. He hits from the Chiefs, but they're not giving up until he makes it to the end zone. The Wildcats win 38-0 over the Chiefs. Let's check in on the defending 3A state champs, Mars Hill at Russellville tonight. The Panthers entered the night 3-0 all-time against the Golden Tigers, and Darrell Higgins' squad takes home another win, defeating Russellville 47-19.
Now into Tuscumbia. A lot of eyes on the Deschler program right now after an off-the-field incident left August Borden with a skull fracture and a concussion. Patrick Malone and the Tigers playing on at Howard Chapel Stadium. The team and cheerleaders wearing yellow to honor their injured classmate as Deschler hosted Hatton in their region opener. The Hornets sting first in this one. Tayshawn Love dishing it out to Quindarius Bolding, and he goes sprinting down the sideline. No one's going to stop him from scoring this time, but Deschler would respond. It's the quarterback, Bryce Thornton, rolling to his right. He's looking for a man. No one's open, so he calls on his own number. Look at this. He's close to the end zone. His teammate, Miguel Rocha, then pulls him in by his face mask. I don't think I've ever seen that before on a football field. Deschler wins 35-28 in a high-scoring one over Hatton. Over at JP Kane Stadium, Hartselle welcoming Jackson Olin to town. The Tigers had won the last 3 meetings with the Mustangs. They kept that streak going tonight, winning 46-8. Well, it's time for us to call our first time out of the night, but don't go anywhere.
We'll head out to Fife for our rivalry game of the week right after the break.
You're watching Big Game Friday Night. Go Bears!
Welcome back into Big Game Friday night, everyone. When you think of North Alabama's true football powers, the Fife Rev Devils are usually one of the first teams that come to mind. Under Paul Benefield, Fife has won 7 state titles and been in the playoffs every year since 2001.
And in the last few years, they've renewed a rivalry with the Pisgah Eagles. Twice in the 2020s, the teams have met in the state semifinals. And while they're no longer region foes, the teams have opted to meet again in another massive early season battle.
And that's why it was a clear choice for our rivalry game of the week. So let's send things out to Paul Benefield Stadium, where Paige Meyer has our recap.
The two powerhouse small-town schools met again tonight at Paul Benefield Stadium for a showdown. The first half of this game was absolutely electric, with both teams scoring in the double digits. But after a rough second half, with Pisgah putting up a fat 0 points on the scoreboard, Fife took this game and ran, with the final score ending 60-28. Pisgah and Fife's crowds were on their feet all night for this high-scoring game. The Eagles start us off, gaining some yardage here with the catch by Cape Duncan. With inches to the end zone, the first points on the board come easy to Landon Watkins as he launches himself in for the touchdown. With the ball in the Red Devils' hands now, Ryder Gibson breaks away from the pack here, getting the first down. That leads us to a Fife touchdown again by Gibson. After Pisgah comes up empty, teamwork makes the dream work, with the Red Devils pushing Gibson down the field for a first down. Another one. Gibson with the touchdown here, putting the score up 14-6. But the Eagles don't give up. They get back in the game here with the touchdown by Duncan. With a Fife fumble, the Eagles get another score here, bringing the game 20-14. And Swoop the Eagle is loving it. It's now a full-on shootout with both teams throwing a party in the end zone. With the crowds chanting more, both squads are dialed in, making it a 1-point game at the half. 29 Fife to 28 Pisgah.
Feeling great. It was exciting, but for coaches, it's not real good. Bad on my blood pressure. First half was just a track meet up and down the field, but you know, we got some stops when we need them, got some caution turnovers. It was a difference in the game.
The difference between the first half score and the score now, what did you say to your team in the locker room to get them to flip that switch?
Not a whole lot. Just we scored early, and then they got a turnover, and it got to where there's 3 scores. And, you know, kids look at scoreboard too, and when you get up 24 points, it's a lot different, a lot tougher to come back.
With the Red Devils having big game Friday night on their mind, they went on to score 31 points in the second half, ending this game 60-28. Reporting in Fife, Alabama, Paige Meyer, WAAY 31 Sports.
All right, let's bring things back to Madison County. Bob Jones and Lee meeting for the 13th time. The Patriots and Generals split their previous battles right down the middle like the early days of the American Revolution. Huge early play on defense for the Pats. How about this? It's an early revolutionary figure, Romeo Washington, with the play, the safety tackle to get 2 points for Bob Jones. Now check this out on offense. The golden arm of Jacoby Gill floats one deep for Reese Dorsey. He celebrates with the student section, even pulls out the Crimson Crane. What else are you going to do if you're a wide receiver in Alabama? Back on defense, Washington continues his march into the Generals' backfield as he hunts down the quarterback. The Bob Jones Patriots win 50-28. It's not often that you have a game with 2 former Nick Saban staffers coaching against each other in high school football, but that's what we had with Westminster Christian hosting Plainview. Former Bama grad assistant Louis LeBlanc on one side for Westminster Christian, then former Crimson Tide defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt on his dad's staff on the other sideline. Houston Scott is back on Westminster's sideline to lead their offense after a big junior year. He scans the field, then finds Jason Rutledge over the middle for a big first down. That drive ends in a field goal. Now, you don't see many quarterbacks returning kickoffs, but guess what? Not many quarterbacks can do this. Plainview's Owen Hope fields it, even gallops over a defender to get them to midfield. You don't need hope when you've got an athlete like this. A couple plays later, Hope throws a dot to Christopher Sandlin, and the wideout does the rest. Good game over there. Plainview wins 26-17.
Let's head out to Rogersville for another big rivalry game between Lauderdale County and Central Florence. Heath Wood and Jeff Mason have their programs playing extra games every year, and meetings like this get them ready for November. Central pumped up for this one, and Javier Baugh on the kick return. He breaks free for a solid jog before hitting the turf. The Tigers' turn. Handoff to Steven Darricott, and he'll rumble and fumble the ball to himself and still find the end zone. One of the wilder plays of the day. Then the LC defense shows up. A swarm of Tigers around Lucas Price, and this cannot feel nice as they bring him to the ground. Later, the Wildcats trying to air it out, but Clark Melvin hit as he throws, and Rolante Robinson comes down with it and takes it all the way back for a Tiger touchdown. Lauderdale County wins tonight 26-10. North Sand Mountain and Eider have met every season since 1975. The Bison have dominated in the last two meetings, outscoring the Hornets 78-zip. And the streak would continue tonight. North Sand Mountain wins it by a score of 43-0. Now, we've had a lot of games tonight with a ton of history between the teams. Not the case between Arab and Cherokee County. The Knights and Warriors playing for just the second time tonight, and Cherokee County wins this one 25-zip. All right, we've made it to our second water break, but don't even think about touching that remote.
Yeah, don't do it. We're just getting started. And how about some defense to highlight us right after the break? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more Big Game Friday night. Go USA! Go
Friday night.
This is the Decatur High School Red Raider Marching Band.
And you're watching Big Game Friday night. Lights on, 1, 2, 3, 4.
They just love the sound of the band, the drummers just going at it, the tubas, the trumpets. I
They
don't
were
really
awesome
know
over there
all
at
the
Decatur.
band instruments.
Decatur didn't get it done tonight, but they created a great atmosphere over there at Ogle Stadium. Their band was awesome to work with there. Great times here. Week 1, Big Game Friday night.
You know what's funny about the bands? The sound of the drumsticks hitting the drum reminds me of big defensive plays.
That makes a lot of sense. Drums, thump, and we love to see big hits, big thumping plays by the defense. This has a little bit of that in that. Look, big hit there to pop the ball free, and then West Morgan's Brody Banks says, let me scoop up that football and take it straight to the bank. So look at that, the big hit, Brody Banks doing the rest. There were a lot of nominees this week for best defensive play, but it goes to West Morgan, a real contender, not only in North Alabama, but the entire state, as they pick up a big win over Brooks.
All right, well, let's check in on the nation's longest losing streak. The Columbia Eagles trying to end it at 92 as they host Huffman tonight. The Vikings' only win last season was against the Eagles, and in a game between two struggling teams, it looked pretty much like you'd expect. We had a bounced snap to the punter, followed by a muffed return. The Eagles would luckily fall on it that time, and they put together a decent drive only to throw the ball away. So things not looking too great for Sammy Coates' squad. Huffman would eventually get close enough to the end zone to take a shot, and they would break the stalemate as Marcus McDonald finds McKedrick Jackson for 6. There were more flags than points at the half. Columbia unable to get it done as the streak extends to 93 games with the 21-10 loss.
Boaz and Albertville, two teams with new coaches this year, but both Luke Pruitt and Adam Weingarten know how important winning this rivalry game is to their respective communities. The Aggies and Pirates have met every year since 1952. Boaz won in both 2023 and 24. Boaz continues the streak tonight with a 31-10 dub.
Week 0 was kind to both Athens and Buckhorn as the Golden Eagles and Bucks won their season openers. Both wanted to move to 2-0, but only one could do it. The Golden Eagles had come out on top in their last 4 meetings with the Bucks, but this time they just couldn't pull it out as Buckhorn wins it 16-10. Well, we've made it through all of Friday's action, but there are still some plays from Thursday we've just got to show you.
We'll turn back the clock right after the break.
Stay tuned for more Big Game Friday night. Go Wildcats! Here we go, guys! Here we go! Here we go,
It's the McCurry Van and Car Rental Big Game Friday night.
All right, Joe Davis Stadium's been home to a really good football team this year. HCFC has been awesome, vaulting up the MLS Next Pro standings, but they're not the only football team to call that their home stadium this year.
Yeah, the Boys in Blue usually play their games on Saturday, but on Thursday and Friday, there's a lot of high school football, the real football, taking place at Wicks Family Field.
Tell us how you really feel about soccer.
The Falcons fly into this one fresh off a big win in week 0. The Tigers still looking for their first win of the season, and it wouldn't take long to get the scoring started. Head off to Keontae Hill, and the big back rumbles in for 6. Madison County would not tack on the extra point that time. Now it's JP2's turn. They fake the sweep in the red zone, and Joey Ross has Danny Fry with space, and no one will stop him this time as he gets into the end zone. The Falcons grab the lead 7-6, and the punches just kept coming. Next Madison County possession, and Jackson Hastings is looking over the middle, but he throws it to the other quarterback. Ross picks him off and goes for a long run to get the Falcons in great position, though they would have to settle for a field goal. Madison County would once again get back in the red zone, and if you know Madison County football, you already know what's coming. It's Hill making it look easy as the Tigers take over. Madison County would get the dub 41-24. And out in the Shoals, it was a river rivalry. Muscle Shoals getting it done against Florence, steamrolling them 34-7. And of course, a massive thank you to everybody who helps make this show possible every week, from production to all of our shooters and our EP Sarah Jones. Show would not be possible without all of you guys. And of course, thanks to our viewers for making us your home for high school football.
Auburn fans at home got to be happy. Over 300 rushing yards as the Tigers get it done on the road at Baylor. Tomorrow, we got Alabama, Florida State.
All right, let's take a look at some of our top lights. Have a good night.
You have been watching a special presentation of WAAY 31 Sports.